Early in his career, Josh Kaplan took a chance on a budding media company with a mission to deliver digestible business news to subscribers' inboxes every morning. Fast forward a few years and a few million subscribers, the Morning Brew has established itself as a leading source of business headlines, valued at $75 million by now majority stakeholder Insider Inc. After an incredible journey with the company, today Josh is starting his own new venture. On this week's episode, Josh shares some thoughts on thinking, plus his take on the creator economy. I'm Victoria Principato, and this is Yucktown.
Is the audio good, or do you want me to put headphones in?
No, I think your audio sounds good, but I don't know. Do you have headphones by any chance? I can't hear you.
All right, let's just do it this way.
Yeah, not everyone has a great microphone like I do.
I need to get one. I'll tell you more about what I'm doing when we get to that part. And
I can't wait to hear about it.
But I gotta get a microphone too, I think.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. I'm super excited. Why don't you start off by telling everyone a little bit about your background and give a little introduction for yourself.
Surely. Well, obviously, first off, thanks for having me. This is really exciting for me. I remember when you were coming up with the idea for the show, and then I've seen episodes, and you've come so far, and we've been internet and DM friends for a while. So to get the webcam to webcam experience and to be on the other end is very fun for me. As for me, it's really not a whole, I guess we'll see how much there is to say about myself. But I'm Josh. Right now I'm working in media / the creator economy. I went to Michigan studying business, didn't think about media, didn't think about any of this. Should definitely turn off my notifications or close Slack.
Definitely heard that Slack going on. So you're in the right, you got the right tools.
Got the right tools, just quit Slack, so no more disruptions. And yeah, never had any idea of like what I really wanted to do, like brought up in thinking about business, thinking about sustainability. One of my grandfathers was an author. One of my grandfathers was this like weird military turned international businessman. So I just like grew up with all this different exposure points, which I was really lucky to have and got to travel and see the world. And one thing led to another when I was graduating that I went into consulting, which is the most boring lifestyle ever, and lonely. It was really lonely.
Yeah.
And my friends from Michigan were starting Morning Brew, and I started to help out a little bit as I was about to graduate, and they were up to some incredible stuff. And a year later, before I knew it, I was there full time as one of the first business hires, helping scale processes, mop the floors, move office, launch new products, develop strategy, like none. But I learned a lot, and I got to see all this great stuff. I got to see some really smart people think in some really great ways. And a lot of us didn't come from media, so we were bringing in this fresh perspective, which allowed us, I think, to do things very differently. And then the Morning Brew adventure took off. That was 2.5 years of really fun adventure. Saw the company go from one product and a couple people to many products and many departments and 75 people, and then the sale for 75 million. And that was amazing. And then over the past couple of months, I just started to think about some of my own ideas, and I guess we'll get to that as well. But right now I am in the very beginning stages of my own company that I'm super excited, and it plays more into the creator economy than traditional media. And I could talk about that forever, but I guess that's a bit about me. I do other stuff as well as work. It's not only work, but I guess that's what I'll tell you for right now.
No, that's a great overview. Thank you, Josh. I'm so happy to hear that you have so many different experiences. Because what I really love to talk about on my show is how people kind of, shape their careers in the future based on previous experiences that they have that might not necessarily seem like they align or are applicable. But I just think everyone is kind of on their own path, and it's okay that everyone's on their own career journey. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I know you kind of started touching on this, but I would love to learn a little bit more about, the creator economy versus the traditional media. Could you kind of share what that difference is?
Definitely. Traditional media I'd characterize as big media companies with many employees where you work and you get a salary, and whether you're a writer creating the online content or the print content, the articles, you're there and you cover a specific beat or you cover different sources, and there's an advertising team that supports the writing by selling advertising or tapping into technology to let other people monetize on your website, the little display ads, whatever it might be. So when I think about traditional media, it's using more traditional mediums, whether that was the newspaper or the TV. Now We're seeing a lot more of website based media, a lot of stuff from bigger companies, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journals, the Foxes, the CNBCs, so much bigger. I guess that's traditional media. That's kind of a weird definition. Anyway, much bigger companies, typically advertising supported. And then when I think about the creator economy, I think about that writer or that journalist or whatever storyteller. You could be a vlogger, you could be Emma Chamberlain getting millions of YouTube views a day and saying, I own my destiny. I own my business, I own my content, and I can take it wherever I want to go. I can partner with who I want to partner with. I, as the creator, have jurisdiction over my destiny. And so that's how I see the creator economy. The technology continues to get better. So you can write a newsletter without having to code. You can put a YouTube video up just by making an account. So the barriers to entry for these creators continues to go down. You don't need teams of salespeople and accountants and admins and marketers to get you access to publishing.
Hmm.
So that is how I would define the creator economy. And with these big social media tools where anybody can be a publisher, a creator, somebody that expresses themselves,
Hmm.
there comes all this new opportunity along with that that we're at the very beginning stages of.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like all different social media platforms have really democratized this whole economy. So that's really exciting to hear that you're kind of launching yourself into that space. So what excites you most about the creator economy?
I really like working with creative people,
Mm,
and I've seen how much they can do and how much fun it is to be around people that express themselves and think of new ideas and push back against status quo assumptions, whether that's a podcast like what I was doing at Morning Brew, whether it's YouTubers. I'm working with a duo out in LA, Colin and Samir, who actually cover the creator economy, which is very meta. But what I like the most is recognizing that they are very creative, not just in the way that they create content, but also in the way that they think. So it's creative business strategy, it's creative ways of pitching to a brand partner. There's just a lot more expression that I get to enjoy.
mm,
And then acting as a thought partner to say, hey, you've got all these great ideas. People are constantly direct messaging you, emailing you with different ideas and different opportunities. It's really hard to evaluate which ones are worth your time.
right.
What are your priorities? Not what are somebody else's priorities, because they obviously want something from you. But what do you want? What's your plan? What's your strategy? And how are you going to get the right people to help you, the right software to help you? And so I like acting as this like operating partner for these creators
Cool.
to say, look, you should own this stuff. You need to be in charge, but I'm going to get other stuff out of your way because your time as a creator to be in front of a camera, to write, to think about the stories, to engage with your audience is really precious. Somebody else should do all the other bullshit. So I like that stuff. I like thinking about the process. I like thinking about the project management and the priorities and the strategy. So that's where I start to come in. And so Kinsey, who was at Morning Brew, who's one of my best friends, her and I are co-founding this company and starting with her. Kinsey's the star. Kinsey's the creator. She owns her own company. I'm here to help. We're co-founders, but she's a big owner. And so to see her empowered and to see the way that she's thinking about building the brand and building the business model and building the stories has been incredible. That for me so far has just been so much fun. And I think there's a huge amount of opportunity once we launch the show and then start to say, hey, we've got this show, we've got this great audience. How can we help the audience? What more do they want? And what can we build them that they might pay for, that some brand might sponsor? And that then becomes again very creative, and it's a thought exercise to say, what do we want to productize? So again, that's what I'm very excited about, and I'll stop there for a second.
No, that's so exciting. I'm so excited to learn a little bit more about your next endeavor. Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds a little bit like a consultant mixed with like a talent agent. That's such a waste of resources on the creator's part. They already do so much as it is. So you can kind of, you know, alleviate that burden. So can you tell me a little bit more about your company? What sparked this idea?
I mean, to your point, it is similar to an agency, to a management label of some sorts, but I think some of these words carry some bad history with them.
Mm,
Like the music labels haven't been given like the best vibe recently, so I tend to use different words to describe it. And agency makes it seems more transactional than like long term like partner in whatever way. But to your point, yeah, it's very similar. It's not recreating the wheel. It's leveraging a lot of what other people have learned in this space and how to partner with talent. As far as like me wanting to do this, I've got no idea. I'm a big believer in taking risks if you're able to. And I've fortunately, between the Morning Brew experience and my upbringing and my education, like I feel like I've been put in a pretty good position to take risks and try things and see if we can build businesses that help people, that employ people, and make more value for the system. So I just like that. I also just kind of get bored. I'm not a very good employee, turns out. So I'm just like not very good at listening to directions. And for me to do this on my own, I feel more comfortable with, which I don't think is true for everybody. But I really enjoy being able to come up with what I want to do on a given week. And there's plenty of things to do. So I'm never without anything. And then as far as this opportunity in particular, like I've just saw it firsthand working and talking to a lot of creators and understanding how what are they incentivized by? Where are the big waves moving? This creator economy idea is not something that I've come up with. This is something that's
Mhm.
been written about excessively. And to ride this big wave and to be a part of it and say like, hey, like I think that I've learned a thing or two and I want to be a part of it is more where I would situate myself. And the master plan could change a million times, but I think as long as I keep solving other people's problems, I'll be in a pretty good position. So there are plenty of problems out there right now and plenty of things for me to do. And until then, I've got nothing else.
Right, so your company is called Thinking is Cool. What do you see for the future of Thinking is Cool, especially as, creators continue to build on different social media platforms?
Oof. Okay.
It's early. It's early on. So maybe if you're not ready
We
for
want, we
answering,
want to launch. We want to launch. We want
I
to get
know.
this thing off the ground. So first off, it's just like working with a lot of these creators to understand like what is the most helpful thing. What services are going to be the most helpful? Is it getting ad partner managers to go sell advertisements into their show? Is it just like bookkeeping and legal contracts and making sure that those things are secure? Is it business development where we're going to make like card games next to some of these people and get them on retail shelves? I've got no idea. So really, right now the priority is launching the show, Thinking is Cool, which Kinsey is the host of, and me being as helpful as I can to her to get that off the ground. Thinking is Cool. The whole energy is that there's some of these really nuanced topics that haven't been given the right oxygen.
Hmm.
We were talking about our first 3 episodes. Hopefully, I can say this by the time it comes out. But one is like, why is porn so messed up? Like, what's up? Like, does anybody masturbate ethically? I don't know. You'll have to but like what have you, like these are massive industries that are just like really not talked about, but
Uh-huh.
I think are things that have different perspectives and a lot of like complexities that need to really be stretched out. And so it's like that's one. The other is Barstool. Nobody covers Barstool correctly. Fantastic business model, polarizing figures. Can I like an Instagram post of theirs without feeling guilty? Anyway, I can keep going about what Kinsey's working on. The environment is the third episode out of the first three, which is like who's really impacting and who's going to save climate change. Uh, is it us recycling little bottles, or is it corporations not messing everything up? So anyway, all these things that are like really meaty. Kinsey's going to do such a good job of saying, "Hey, I want to give you my perspective on it and my experience trying to figure out the answer to this question. But as a result, I want you to go back to your roommates and your family and your girlfriend and your boyfriend and have some really good conversations."
Hmm.
So from there, we'll figure out what to do with that show. But Kinsey's getting booked for all these great stages and to be hosting all these different panels. So her as
That's
Kinsey
exciting.
Grant is just about to like skyrocket, and we're going to make her a star. And then there's other creators that I'm working with, some officially, some unofficially. So like I won't be as open about like whatever that might be, but really just trying to see like, are they interested in what Kinsey and I are building? And is it now? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? I don't know when we start to bring more people in. That's really like, it's actually that whole idea of bringing more people on is not my priority. It's really just getting this show to be really delightful and to make sure that the business works on top of that.
Hmm.
And then from there, we'll pick our heads up and think more.
That's so exciting. So what is the format of the show? Is it a question and answer, conversation between you and Kinsey, or is it just Kinsey delivering kind of like a monologue?
I'm not gonna try and ruin
Okay.
that. You got to hit play. You got to give it a listen.
Nice.
It's a newsletter and a podcast
Cool.
combination. They're not the same. It's not like, hey, here's a new episode email. Kinsey's a writer and a podcast host, so she's able to flex both of those muscles
Wow.
and make each both independently enjoyable. Uh, I would just say sign up for the newsletter, listen to the podcast. You'll get the whole experience of it. It's really creative. It's not your typical interview podcast. It's not typical at any means. It's very much more like a diary and like her. I would actually say it's not. There's always a comp to everything. Like anybody that says there's no competition is full of shit. I would say this is like reply all esque, still some DNA from business casual and morning brew stuff.
Mm,
a little bit of like the Acquired podcast, which goes like very deep on certain topics.
mm.
So we're pulling out like a little bit of our favorite stuff and seeing.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to give it a listen. If you had to give any advice, what would it be?
I need to think about that one for a second. Advice that I would give to people starting. I'm only like a couple months into being like fully on my own. Like I quit middle of December. Right now we're recording April 14th. And I think it's very easy to get overwhelmed or to get sidetracked or like to lose sights. Like I frequently write like what are the three most important things I need to do this week. And then I kind of map out my week accordingly and make sure that like my time matches my priorities on paper. And I think that gives me the structure that I need
Mm-hmm.
to automate some of my thinking and not freak out when it's like, oh, like what do I do today? And to like have that overall vision and to know that it's going to change a million times, but I can still have like strong opinions loosely held about where I want to be. I get a lot of help from a lot of people. That's, I guess, the advice is to get help all the time. Um, I don't really have strong advice. Like I just really feel natural, like figuring things out. It was stuff that I was empowered to get more acclimated to at Morning Brew in my position.
Mm-hmm.
Like working with Austin and Alex was great because they were very supportive and they would say like, go figure it out. Like no one's going to give you this manual on how to launch a newsletter or how to figure that out. Like that's your job. And I think that if you like that sort of thing, you'll might be good at this, but I don't know if I'm in a position of success just yet to really be giving advice on how to run a new venture. If you've
Yeah.
got the itch, I'm 25, I can give it a shot. And I don't know what else. Like I don't have kids, I don't have a house, like I don't have like I guess now is the time for me to do something stupid and burn it all down. And I'm more than happy to give it my best shot. I sometimes say like I'd be happy to fail, and that's probably not true, but I am going with the attitude that like I don't know, like we're gonna try this thing out and see what happens.
No, that's a great attitude to have. And honestly, I would argue that you're in the best position to give advice. Like it doesn't come from a person who's like, at the top or already made it or whatever, if that's how you're looking at it. I think like the entire journey needs to be documented, commented on, discussed throughout. So, like the advice of even just, the fact that you even like took a step and changed something about your career, I think that's huge. Like I think that has value and there's value in the entire process. So that's
Like
what I would
I'll take
argue.
the silver lining. I'm here for it.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Really excited about your show and to see where you keep going. We
Thank
always have
you.
some really good conversations about the show, and comment on the video. Tell a friend.
Comment, like, subscribe. Got it all.
All the things.
Spoken like a true influencer.